Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Count Your Words on Rocklaz Radio. This is Tanmay Shah with,
Hi, this is Laura Ginberga.
and what are we talking today?
Right. We're going to talk about books we have read in 2021 now. We were supposed to have our last session last year, but I wasn't feeling well. I was hoping it was coronavirus, but it was just a flu. So
you are hoping, you are hoping for it to be Corona.
then I would say in this legendary moment of world history, I have done it. No, I haven't. Anyway, and yes, so we had to postpone it to a new year. So here we are. We gonna recount the books we have read in last year in 2021. The best quotes, best ideas we have taken from that, and maybe add also some podcast or other informative ways we have received information from.
Absolutely. So, Laura is an avid reader, as you all know. Let us begin with Laura's favorite books of 2021.
Yes. yes. So, how do you want to structure this? Should we go one book me, one book you, or just like down
You,
with?
you do
Okay.
all your books, then I'll do all my
Okay.
books.
Right. Um, So which one would I put? I would put Mary Forleo as the first one because she's ladies first. So Mary Forleo, everything is figure outable. Is
One second. To the listeners, I will try to add all the books which we discuss here in the show notes. So you can check it out. You can go and find whatever book you like we talked about and go and read it yourselves. Okay.
amazing. Yes. So the first one is Everything is Figure Outable by Mary Forleo, and I found it a very good, a very positive, inspirational read, and a good reminder of our limitless potential, and just that little maybe kick of keep doing, find solutions because they're always out there, right? um what else? Next one, uh also inspirational book, Compound Effect by Darren Hardy, and it's about how all the things that you do, the work that you put in, the things you learn, or just repetitive, resilient daily things that seem small today, they come together at a certain point and they make sense, and they are in the right moment in the right place when they are useful, get useful, and then you're like, oh, that's true. I mean, now it all makes sense why I've been doing this, and now it all pays off. So Compound Effect is about keep doing, keep moving, and at the end you will be rewarded, and it's about consistency.
So even the activities add up compounded.
Yeah, exactly. Other great book, Simon Sinek, Start With Why, legend. Start With Why is, I'd say, it's not only for the marketers, but it's for anybody to find your why you're doing things, not only in business but also in life, and that is also why could be a synonym of the purpose, why you're actually doing things you do. And it's especially important when you're trying to convey, you as Tanmay, as an artist, or any business person, what is the why behind your business and how you bring the value to to the other people. So, and it's obviously it's all nicely put that you can figure out, and he has amazing TED talk as well about your why, about purpose, inspiring people. When the things get fuzzy, it's difficult to stay on track. Obviously, if you have your why, then things are just much clearer and straightforward.
I have
Other,
this. This is a
yeah,
common book, so I'll just add some more of my points.
yeah,
So Simon Sinek, he has built this golden circle. So use the concentric circles. The innermost circle or the first step is defining your why. Then you go on how, and at the end you go to what. Usually people go the other way. Start with what to do and then how to do it, and why why is just an add-on for publicity's sake or something like that. But as Laura mentioned, when you start with why, it keeps you on the track, and you are always moving forward. And there is many more things you do in there. So he gave a couple of awesome example. Um, he was comparing about uh, how people, when the industry develops, if they are not with why, how they cannot jump up on the next revolution or stuff like that. So he gave an example about ice in the US was very famous, but in the initial company who made money from ice, they would go to the North Pole or wherever they can find huge chunk of ice, bring it on ship, and then distribute it everywhere. And that was a big boom in the company. But after a while, those people were not able to catch the next evolution in the technology when the refrigerators came in. So, because their why was not about freezing or creating, having ice, their why was about how to get the best quality of ice from place, the minimum, how we can get it in a way such that it doesn't leak that much, and so on and so forth. So when refrigerators came in, the shipping company couldn't take advantage of that. So and so on and so forth. The third one example was more in the evolution, the cold beverages coming in, and refrigerator agency not being able to catching up with the uh, packed food and the things like that. And current example, if you see Facebook, there we think of it as a social networking company, or we know it as social network. But even when you hear Mark Zuckerberg saying their why is to connect people together and bring the world closer, hence they are moving on to metaverse. So with Metaverse, they changed their name from Facebook to Meta, and Metaverse is a place where you can physically attend meeting. You can have avatars to talk to each other, see each other. You can physically go and visit a place. So we can have a separate podcast on Metaverse. But yes, Laura, we can move to the next book of yours.
perfect example.
I have claps.
Yes.
So
Okay.
I think with examples we understand the idea more better, right? Like last time you were suggesting how we bring that in our lives, or maybe an example from some other place. That's how we
Hmm.
can stick to the concept, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. And I think also his TED talk was great and showed in like 7-15 minutes other examples, the simple whys, and just as you said, from the outside, from the so most people work from the outside to the inside, right? From what to why. But he brought this, just as you brought very simple examples, from why to what, reverting it. Other book, very current topic today, the NFT Handbook by Matt Fortnow and Q Harrison Terry. And it is a simple read, and it covers everything about NFTs from A to Z. So how they're divided, collectibles, wearables, art, everything. How you create them, how you collect them, how you sell them, everything. I really recommend that, especially people who are interested in NFTs. Right. Other book is big, 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 and I know you love it, and so many people actually love it. And it's Seven Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey. Yes, I would say the most important principle I took away, and I'll tell you that I had the book for physical book actually for a longer time, but I didn't start reading it as I had other books I was reading in that time. So my sister borrowed it from me, and she came back to me and she said, "You know, Laura, you know what is one of the seven habits? It's being proactive." So, and we were talking about myself, and she said, "Are you reacting or are you proacting?" And that made me stop, and I said, "Can you just elaborate this?" And so she brought examples, and after that I was like, okay, I'm going to read this book, and it is amazing, and I would definitely it's like one of the books that I really strongly recommend to people. Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. I'm sure, Tanmay, you have your own examples out of life, how this book has affected you or what you have taken out of it.
Yes, absolutely. I have heard it 2 or 3 times. And this one about proactive, reactive, I'll give an example. He quotes it from a different book, and that book is called Man in Search of Meaning. I have read that one also. So it is a book by Viktor Frankl. In brief, his summary of how what is proactive and reactive is he explains an example. This person was was in a Nazi camp for the Jews, and he was physically tortured, stripped naked, harassed by all the prisoners, the prison guards, and he a background of it is he was a psychologist and a neurologist doctor before going into the camp. So he took it as his mission to uh, his why to note all that what happens to him, and it was a test for him about how my mind reacts to situations and so on. So on the point of proactive and reactive, he said, my freedom lies in me how I react to them. That is the only thing they cannot take away from me. They can take away my clothes, they can take away my sleep, they can do all the physical things they want me to. But giving in to their uh, efforts or not, that is in my hands. So I put a air gap in between. How I react to them is my freedom. So that is being proactive. And when you start reacting because of somebody else's anger or somebody else is coming and talking to you something, and you lose it and you go go and you also start shouting at them, that would be reactive. So we can find several examples where we get affected by the situation, not only people, but when we start without thinking or without giving it a moment, we start immediately reacting and taking actions. That would be reactive. So this whole book has 7 principles in it. This is one of the favorite books of Bill Gates as well. So the first half of the book is about personal success and personal achievement, and the second principles are about outward, with society, with nature, or the things to do outside you. So it's an amazing book, totally must read. I will discuss more about this when we have a particular book session, but we can continue with other books because we got to cover a lot many books today, I guess.
Okay, we will have a session only for Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. I think it's a fantastic book, and it really merits to have its own session. Um,
We can do a genre of books, then we can discuss this book in detail, like suppose self-help or habits. So maybe we can have a session on habits and then we can
yeah,
discuss seven habits and atomic habits and books, so on.
yeah, taking out iconic reads and dissecting them.
Awesome.
Other great book, and I understand that as all great books, they arrive in certain moment in your life when you understand them, and sometimes you can have them and not understand them, but then something happens and you just understand them. So one of those is Joe Dispenza, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. I think it's one of a hell iconic book. And I was writing down the ideas as I was listening to it, and I just had the stream of like connection with something higher, because I was just downloading so many creative ideas as I was listening to it. So I'm still reading it, to be honest, because it's a massive read, but I'm loving it, honestly.
Could you share some examples from it, or I haven't read this one?
Yes, let me look up on my notes from it.
Joe Dispenza. And what is the title?
The title is the breaking the habit of being yourself.
Okay.
All right, so in a quantum model of reality, everything is intercommunicating within a higher dimensional field of information that is holistically entangled beyond space and time as we know it. Till yesterday, we have been accustomed to feel with our senses. We are stuck in a Newtonian paradigm. Instead, the quantum model demands understanding of reality not be based on our senses. Quantum physics is nonsense. You know, when you just read it, when I was reading it, I was like blown away. I had to go back and listen to it again, go back, listen to it again, and digest it.
So this point which you read out, what did you take away from this, or why was it so important that you noted it down?
Yes, I think the thing is about all the books that we are talking here is about how you can improve your life, how you can create your life, how you are proactive and make it better tomorrow than it was today, right? So this is about actually going into the core of creating things, because in and let me find this quote. Right. Quantum exists in a reality beyond our senses. There is no body, no thing, no time. I mean, there is nothing. So if there is nothing, you can create anything. And that is very deep, you know? So from that, as obviously there is entire things of habits you have to work on yourself, the things of the mindset you have to work on yourself, and this is that breaking the habit of being yourself, changing it, molding it into something that is purposeful and useful and helpful to the society, you know. So from taking that there is existent things, okay, but if you want to change and if you want to actually create something, you take from nothing, out of nothing, and you create. How insane is that? So basically every one of us is an artist of their own lives, of their own realities, and this is the beauty, you know.
Wow, absolutely.
So I mean, this is the major, like major book, which I love it, and it's just delicious. And I really think that people should read it, but obviously you have to get to a certain level and certain openness to receive the information, you know. So that's Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Joe Dispenza. Other amazing book is You Can Fix Your Brain by Tom O'Brien and Mark Hyman. That is a doctor. And it's a book about step-by-step daily hacks to a better cognitive function. What we eat, what is our environment, and how to take care of yourself. I'll give you an example. For example, the when you have some food and you put it in the plastic container and then you heat it in microwave. First of all, microwave is not a healthy thing, and we know that. But even if you know it and you still use it, heating in those plastic containers is not a good thing because they contain PCB, which is like a special plastic chemical that by heating up releases cancerogenous chemicals. So by taking that away and, for example, just heating up on your pan or whatever you want, or just not storing it in a plastic container but storing it in a glass container, can improve your life. Because the thing is, it's not going to change because you did it today. It's it's changing the health, it's changing body with the chemicals by doing it every day. And at the end of 30 years, at the end of 25 years, it can make a big difference. So another example is Mexico City. And Mexico City has very high pollution, and there are like 7 types of Alzheimer, and they have the Alzheimer in children just because of high pollution. So there's so many examples. For example, why am I repeating myself? Um, you you can. It's suggested that you would take care of the air cleanness in your bedroom if you can do that, obviously, because during our sleep we regenerate, and it's highly recommended that you sleep in a fresh air. So these are few examples of how we can change our life. And again, nothing is going to change if you do bad things one time. It's gonna change during years, during decades. So I think this book is very useful for practical nerds.
So this, as you mentioned earlier, even the negative and carcinogenous things get compounded.
Yeah, exactly. So it can be in good way and also in a bad way. Yes. And I love this Latin phrase, which is gutta cavat lapidem, and it means the drop breaks the stone by dripping, which is again year by year by year by year, and then it's get broken, you know. So it can go in a bad way, it can go in a good way. So let's do it in a good way. So that is about my list of books. What about your list of books?
Okay. No, you had some more books like Influence, and I had read some. I think you should see your Instagram story.
Which story?
There was a there was a story about books you read in 2021. Okay, you come back, you see and come back. I'll talk about my books too then.
Okay.
Okay, so I read a couple of books. I would like to start talking with one. So the latest one which I read was Unfuck Your Brain. It is about mental health, and this is a psychologist writing this book, and she talks about defines what is health, what is depression, what is anxiety. So both these are kind of traumas, and traumas reactions to them, how having them for a long time brings uh, makes your state worse. Or she said a very nice thing. You have a month's time after a period of that incident, the traumatic incident. If you get out of it within 1 month, you're out of it. But if it sustains, if you are in that same stressful situation for longer time than more than 1 month, then you go into another spiral. And then at the end, she recommends different techniques how to cope with it, how exercise and meditation, and different ways she mentioned about how to go about it. Then this amazing book by Richard Dawkins. As you all know, Richard Dawkins is a famous scientist and evolutionary biologist, and he's famous for being atheist. So in this book, he talks about selfish gene and how and the survival of gene. How there was a soup of enzymes in the beginning of evolution, and then how we have come to become humans. So he describes we are just carriers. Our body and our birth is just carriers. We are all doing this for a gene. The genes are the ones which carry on for years and years. They live on for thousands and millions of years. So we are machines for the genes. So some genes thought for their survival will be better to become a plant or better to become a particular type of tree or particular type of animal. So those groups came together and made different machines and evolved, so on and so forth. So this is just one aspect, but he discusses this from a very amazing point of view. You get a very holistic view of life and a different perspective on that. Then
What is the title again and the author?
The Selfish Gene. It's by Richard Dawkins.
Uh-huh. And is it easy to read? Is it like
Absolutely easy.
okay. How long is it? How big is it?
Hmm, 16 hours. I'm talking about the audiobook. 16 hours.
Oh, okay. Well, it's quite massive book. Let's say that.
But you can do the concepts are very easy to grasp. So like from school and stuff like that. So whatever
Yeah.
biology studied in school will be helpful. There are not very complex words or something that you won't understand. He has tried to keep it as with commonly spoken words as possible.
Okay.
Okay, so the next one is The Tales of Beetle Bard. This is a J.K. Rowling book, and I just thought of getting out my regular genre of self help and history and biography. This is a fiction book of the same author which has written Harry Potter. So, this is a Harry Potter Hogwarts Libraries book. So, this is a book about what the magicians tell to their children, bedtime stories and stuff like that. So, but she puts in her life incidences, and there's a lot of psychology and morals to take away from this as well. So, a short one, but you'll like it.
So would you say you would read it before going to bed?
I usually read most of my books before going to bed, but this one is a fairy tale book for the magician's children's. So
Uh-huh.
in her, what do you say? In her whole universe of Harry Potter, this is a book from the library of Hogwarts, from the school of Harry Potter. So
Yeah.
this is a children's book of the magicians, and then the stories are go in that fashion.
Okay.
So, something different. Then this book I read about. It's called Asura, a tale of vanquished, the story of Ravana and his people. So, Ramayana is a famous mythology, an epic. It's an epic in India, and this is the anti. What do you say? The villain or what is the antagonist? So he's the
Yeah.
antagonist. But this book is about him, how he was in his empire, how he was a king, and he how he developed and things like that. So if you see the movie Joker of Batman, so he's the
Mhm.
antagonist, and it's a story of about how he becomes the Joker, or how what situation or what things mold him to become like that.
Mhm.
And so this is the same way he describes. It's a slight fiction as well, but he describes different choices or different situation that make him to become what he is. So he is known to be a very sincere bhakt. Bhakt, I don't know what is the direct translation in English. Oh, he's a bhakt of Shiva, and he gets a lot of boons from Shiva, and he is very spiritual that way. He was well read and stuff like that, but some of his choices made him get on the other track. So that's a very nice book to read. But read Ramayana first, then read Asura if you
Okay.
haven't read both. So I was wondering, what do people of Sri Lanka think about Ravan? So the article was about, yeah, they consider him to be as a good king, and he brought a lot of prosperity and stuff like that. So that's then from that you can actually understand that this is not just a mythology. This is the stories which must have happened in real, but different geographies look at it in different ways. So a villain for
Yeah.
somebody is a king for a good person for somebody, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. Yeah. It's obviously it's very interesting how just as we switch the focus or the positions, the perspective changes, right?
Oh yes, absolutely. So in the Seven Habits, there's the first thing is about perspective as well. So,
Oh yeah.
so we'll keep that for the self-help. And this is a very interesting. We'll talk about it separately. The other book is Modern Romance and Investigation. So this is this is a book by Aziz Ansari, and this is he talks about dating in modern life and modern romance, and how he it's not just a fiction. He has done a lot of interviews, and he has done a lot of surveys and participants he has had. So he's a comedian, and he's writing this book. So it's a fun read, and it's also very nice to read. To conclude the book, it was just to keep on doing things, or sort of to settle down. um, so he says an example about a college students going for jobs. So there are two kind of students. One are people who are always searching for best jobs, best companies, rising best resumes. They'll search for 100 odd companies, then center down to two, and then choose one. And when even after they go to the company, after a month or 6 months, they will think again that I wish I had got job in the other company, and that one seems better. My friend got a better job, and so on and so forth. But the second type of student is he just takes the first job which he gets, and he's sort of satisfied with that, and he tries to find value and just carries on with it. So it's the same way with love, he said. So people on Tinder, because of Tinder and this dating app, they have a lot of options to just swipe and change, and they think like, okay, this is not doing. They don't put a lot of effort, so they just think, okay, there's another person, or oh, we can keep moving forward and so on. So these people are always sad that they are not finding love and so on and so forth. They never sort of feel settled or comfortable or loved or so on. And there are some other people who have other. There is like they just go on with their whatever situation happens, and then they put efforts from both the sides, and it become evolves accordingly. So yeah, it's a this was serious, but there's a lot of fun stuff as well. He cracks a
I
lot of jokes. Sorry.
I, I think it is also about the gratitude, you know. So whenever and that's like a rule, when a person feels grateful, then then that grass is actually green also in your garden. But when there is no gratitude, then
Yes.
the grass is always greener on the other side.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree.
You have other books in store?
Yes. So, the autobiography of a yogi. This is a autobiography written. I mean, the yogi is Padmahansa Yogananda. So this is another popular, famous book, and he it's a he's not born in a religion in a saint's family, but his dad is a has job at railways. But how he becomes a yogi, how he finds a spiritual teacher, how he does spiritual campaigns, and how he evolves, and his experience in meeting different religious gurus and in India and traveling there. So it's a fun story. It was published in 1947, and it's still well known.
It is still actual to this day.
Oh yes. Then there was this another fiction book called Anxious People. This is a fun read as well. So, first time I read a book which has suspense and so many characters coming in and so on and so forth. So, this I thought it will be sort of a self help and for anxiety and so on and so forth, but it turned out to be something very interesting, mysterious, and comedy as well. So, this is a fun book. It's about a murder, and it has a plot like that. So check it that out as well.
Okay.
Okay. And Tools of Titans. Oh my God, that's an amazing book which I
Oh,
am still
yes.
reading. And top tips which I can first come to my mind is force yourself to be creative. Get up and write 10 ideas. 10 ideas about anything. And when you cannot think about ideas, write 20 ideas. So those people who say that I'm not getting good ideas, they are not even having bad ideas. But the genuine people who come up with a lot of good ideas, when you talk to them, they'll see I have a ton of bad ideas already. So think about bad ideas and just keep on extracting the juice out of your
Yeah,
mind.
yeah. Like the compound effect, right? Just keep doing.
Hmm. So what he has done, the author is Tim Ferriss. He also has a podcast. So he has interviewed several people, and it's a book of compilation of all those people. He has a set of questions which he asks them about their some simple question like spirit animal, Twitter handles, and then some deeper questions. I mean, most of the questions are deeper about health, wealth, happiness, and business, and so on. So a must read. We can have a separate session because this is so interesting. We can have a separate session on this. All right.
Yeah.
So have you got the your correct this book called Influence, the psychology of persuasion? I think you have read this one too. It's by Robert.
Yes. By Cialdini, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Robert B. Cialdini, and he talks about how uh, it's a classic book. How influence, how do you influence somebody, or how do you get influenced by somebody, not just on an interpersonal level, but how does marketing and business work, and how they try to influence you, and so on and so forth. What was your take on this?
I think this is definitely a must read. Uh, Even if people who don't work in marketing, who don't need marketing, it's still interesting book because it just uncovers our psychology. And I think it also goes into other great book that is one of my favorites, all-time favorites, by Chris Voss, Never Split the Difference. Um, and as it influences how we think, how we negotiate, and all these behind the scenes details that can actually influence the outcome.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I want to read the other book as well. So this book, there's another book from my read books. It's called An Era of Darkness by Sashi Tharoor. He's a politician and scholar from India. This book is about British Raj, how British and the era of darkness which had come with the British rule, and the things which they had done which they might not be still sorry for, and so on. It's a good read. I would suggest everybody to read. All right, over to you, Laura.
Pardon?
Over to you. I what other books have you read?
Well, I'd say that was my list of 2021, and I'm just looking into this new year with new books.
All right, so I think we can discuss about books are not just the only source of information, right? Hence, we are discuss about podcast and YouTube channels and so on and so forth. So, what podcast you have been listening, and hence the show's name is Count Your Words. Words are everywhere in all information sources. So, hence Count Your
Uh
Words. What
yes.
podcast have you listened to, or what podcast influenced you this year, the last year?
Well, it my all-time favorite that I constantly read and I'm subscribed to his mailing list is Tim Ferriss and his Tim Ferriss show, which always has amazing guests, and that is also why I discovered so many good books, because these authors actually come to his podcast, and I get to hear them, and then I just need to read their books, and I just love it. I would say that is my to go podcast, and then there are daily podcasts that are about news, about finances. One of that is Financial Times podcast, which is very concise, a few minutes daily podcast about the news.
Mhm. I the best episode from Tim Ferriss was the one on Web3. I'll put that link as well. That one was pretty good. You can check that out. I listen to a couple of diverse podcasts. The frequent ones are Akimbo. This is a podcast by Seth Godin. He's a guru of marketing, and I just love his way of thinking and the way of relating things from different aspects into one. He has his 18 books have been in the bestsellers list of New York Times, and he's a very renowned person. So his episodes are must listening. Short ones, half an hour. Uh, 60-70% of it is a monologue, and then he takes in questions and answer those questions. So I love the way he thinks. Even you might want to see one of their episode, Laura.
I'm sure I would. I actually listened to his episode with Tim Ferriss, or Tim Ferriss with Seth Godin,
Mhm.
and then I discovered that he actually had his own podcast and the why he had it. But yes, I would definitely love to hear it. Send me the link that you think is the best episode of his.
Yes, yes, yes. And the other one, what I'll do is there's so many links. I'll create a blog about this and I'll link it in the description about your books, my books, podcast, YouTube channels, and so on and so forth. The
Amazing.
next one is Freakonomics. This is one of my most favorite. I came into podcast because of Freakonomics after reading their book, and I this has been my top of my charts for like past many years. This podcast. It's about economics, and he talks about different people as well. So it's not just dry economics, but it's something very fun. So we'll talk about sports and how what are the odds of an underdog team winning a the English Premier League and how that has happened. He'll talk about how people have the successful people in the business industry. Then there were 3 episodes of their podcast on NFT and the art market, which Laura enjoyed as well.
I loved it. Honestly, I loved it. And I'm really willing to listen to other episodes.
Yes. Then he talks about uh, war, medicines, the advertisement industry, and these guys are just amazing. So, Freakonomics Radio. The next one is Seen and the Unseen. This is a podcast by Amit Verma. He talks about seen and unseen facts about India, the politics, economics, sociology, and his podcasts are long, about 2-3 hours, and he goes into depth with on the all topics about politics, economics, science, and international strategies, and so on and so forth. Next is another one from India is Echoes of India. This podcast was really interesting for me because the history which he explains is this is not really taught or much elaborated in the Indian schools. He talks about a period before the Mughals had come in. So this is about Indian rulers, about Ashoka, Maurya dynasty, and the all that type of area. How Buddhism came in, how Hinduism and the aspect of Shaivites and uh, Vishnuites and their conflicts, and how different rulers came in from India from different part, and how India was having its renaissance along with the Europe, and how European people, you'll find a lot of Indian artworks or in houses and palaces in Italy and other places. So there were a lot of good trade with India, and so I liked it so much that when I was doing the mega artwork called the one which I got to name with your help was the Everything is Changing. The whole podcast I was listening to, the whole painting I was doing, listening to this episode, this podcast, and this one, and the other one was Mahabharata. That too, I wanted to finish it in one go, one after one episodes. So he puts in Bhaumik, um, he puts in different perspectives of Mahabharata and how the whole tale evolved, and it's a fun read for. You don't need to have read Mahabharata before this. So anybody around the world can listen to this, and you will have fun and you'll see so many characters. Take any epic around the world and compare the characters in Mahabharata and in the other epic of yours. So, a lot of relations and a lot of characters, and it's a fun reel of stories. Then I heard a couple of episodes of Science Rules. It's by Bill Nye. Fun episodes. Then there were some short episodes from Naval. Naval is another business person, and he talks about his related things. I have heard 2 episodes of Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan is one of the most famous podcasts, but I hear only when the guest I know are coming or sort of because his um, episodes are like for 3 hours, so we have to watch it in breaks. At least I do it in breaks. So I watched about Elon Musk and Beeple. Beeple is a very famous NFT artist, and he is being compared to the top artist list from the physical world as well. He made 69 million by selling just compilation of 400 artworks, everyday artworks of his as NFT in the month of February 2021. And and there's another frequent podcast which I listen to is the Star Talks by Neil deGrasse Tyson. This is a fun episode. He has a co-host who is a comedian, and they talk about space. They take questions on space, astrology, sports, and different aspects. So they break down the concepts with a very fun and a very simple level, and give some very juicy fun facts about all the concepts and theories. And they have guests from those fields as well.
Playing from desktop 0S7 QPDR.
Then there is this. You might like this one, Laura. Planet Money. Do you already hear to Planet Money?
Planet and Money?
Yeah, Planet Money
Uh,
by
okay, I don't
NPR.
know this.
So these are again short episodes of 20 minutes and amazing fun episodes. They they have very diverse topics. So I would totally help you suggest you to go and check that out.
Okay. I think I told you about this one episode, which I really enjoyed and loved, even though I had to split it over a couple of weeks because it was like 4.5 hours. And it's Joko podcast with Johnny Kim. And Joko Willink himself is American author, podcaster, and retired U.S. Navy officer who served in the Navy SEALs. And Johnny Kim is it's a very, very funny thing because he's very young. He's 37, and he is a physician, U.S. Navy lieutenant, and NASA astronaut, and he has 3 children. So this episode was about Johnny Kim's life upbringing and how he was going through his careers and these changes and how he ended up succeeding in all of them. And it's very personal and emotional podcast episode, and it's set, I watched the video, it's set like black and white, just lights and shades, and it's very dramatic, let's say. So it's 4 hours and a half of comedy, of drama, of tragedy, of everything, of life, and it's amazing. It's beautiful, and actually, it's the only Joko's episode I have been listening to, but it's amazing.
All right, awesome. I'll definitely take that link from you. And
Yes.
there is another one. Now I'm going to talk about my brother's podcast. It's Planet Impact by Manthan Shah. He has interviewed many people from the social entrepreneurship space. So, and circular economics. He's doing his studies and he's going to be doing research on that. So he has about 35 episodes on it. An amazing India. He has traveled many places, so he has interviewed a lot of people. Definitely check that out. Next one is Making Sense by Sam Harris, and I just love his voice. It's very calm, soothing, and he talks philosophy and lot of his talks are more related to self help and so on. I mean, you check that out. He's a neuroscientist, philanthropist. He's a best-selling author. He has done a lot of things, and his questions are about human mind, society, and current events. Next one would be Mahabharata with Dhruv Rathi. He's a famous YouTuber, so people in India might be knowing him. He makes short episodes on understanding stuff in India, and so on. Then there is how I built this. How I built this is about Guy Raz. He talks about stories of world's best known companies and entrepreneurs, and it's a narration of stories of people how they have become what they have become.
Oh, this sounds very interesting.
Yes, you love this. Then Google Talks. I've heard couple of episodes. Then we study billionaires. This is another podcast on wealth, investment. They have spoken to a lot of billionaires and they follow them like Warren Buffett, Howard Marks, and so on. I love
And
that
who are the hosts?
there are two guys. I will have to check their names. I will put it in the show notes.
Okay, cool.
His for folks in India, their episodes with Monish Pobroy are amazing about investment and not just for India. He invests in the American market, but he is a student of. He admires Warren Buffett, and he talks about his investment strategies and how he selects companies and so on and so forth. So I would link those specific episodes as well. Oh, no stupid questions. So, like how me and Laura are talking now, this episode is conversation between the host of Freakonomics. His name is Steve Dubner, with a psychologist called Angela Duckworth, and they talk about a lot of fun stuff. So check that out as well. Angela Duckworth has a written is the author of Grit. So she has studied grit of how people achieve or success or progress and so on and so forth. So you might like this one as well. Yes, and there are a couple of episodes from here and there. But once I listen to more of their episodes, I will list them. And back to you, Laura.
All right. It sounds like we have a great 2021 podcast and book wrap up. And I hope our listeners will get value out of that. And if you have read one of the books or if you have listened one of the podcasts, we are happy to receive any reviews or deep thoughts of or revelations you had out of listening or reading the books, and you're welcome to send us an email of your thoughts or analysis if you do have.
You can send a audio note as well. So if you do that, we'll include in the next episodes after the talk. So what do you think?
Fantastic. I think it's a great idea.
So it will be nice to hear different people and their readings and perspective, and it'll be more interesting. So Laura, what let our listeners know what topic are we discussing next week? What what topic or genre would you like to talk about?
um right, do you have any topic in particular that you plan to talk about?
So as we were talking, we could talk about self-help, seven habits, and atomic habits, and stuff related to habits.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, awesome. And about about for today's in this year, where there's some specific YouTube channels that you followed.
I actually do not watch YouTube. I
Oh,
have to admit that.
okay. I watched lot of YouTube. My learning comes from there. I'm learning new softwares like Blender and anything I have to go to learn or find out how to do. I go to YouTube and check those out. So You can see, go to my YouTube channel and see the podcast which I follow. Podcast, I'm
Okay.
saying YouTube channels. But
Yeah.
next time I'll discuss them, couple of those channels as well.
Fantastic.
So why don't you see a lot of YouTube? Is it because you have to consciously be looking at the screen and hence you prefer audiobooks and podcasts, or is there some other reason?
No, there is no any particular reason. I think I love audiobooks because obviously it's a version where I don't have to carry many books around when I travel, and it doesn't take much space, and like I get to listen to them when I commute, when I work out or when I just do things at home manually, and I don't really need like a brain work too much. But YouTube, I don't know. It's just I haven't found the modality for me as the right one.
I discovered NFTs from YouTube. Um, I had come. I was in a phase of on researching on cryptocurrency, and I already do art. So YouTube search result got up NFT, a mixture of both of those to my notice, and then I just went on a spiral on searching what is NFTs and how to get started and so on and so forth.
That's interesting. I discovered NFTs here in Clubhouse at the beginning of last year.
Yeah, what happened was Clubhouse had come with the marketing strategy, and they were just related to iPhones, right? And just invite basis. So it was only limited to few people. But I'm glad to have joined it, no matter how late.
Oh, so now it's open to everybody.
Yes, and
Oh,
you
that's
don't
perfect.
and you don't need an invite or so.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, and it's been giving Twitter Spaces have been giving a challenging time to Clubhouse. So once their bugs are fixed, there people will have two strong options. And talking about that, I have a couple of topics which we can do podcast on. So like the one you had come up with, pricing for artists. So I have listed down a couple of more topics we can talk about.
Yes?
So dealing with success. So people, we always read and think about how to reach success, and we are always in the process. But from Tools of Titans and many other people places, I've got hints about knowing what to do after success as well. You have got a lot of money, you have got a lot of fame, and what do you do after that?
Yeah, I think it's very current topic because obviously when you get to the summit, then what's next? Obviously you get next summits, but it's also mental breaking the mental how to say limits of wow, how far can you get. So it's a very interesting topic. You're right.
And there's a lot of aspect about wealth as well. So people think that okay, I've got this much and I'll keep getting this much, and they make some not so good decisions, and they come down faster than they had come up. So there are some stories which I read on this, and also how like finding your why. So how far do you want to go? What is your happiness in? So what is success for you? That's a very individual question, right? So I think what after success and mental health and this finances and wealth can come with this. Then other topic was um, unblocking creativity. So artist or somebody can come at a point where you face a block in creativity. So how to come over that? We can have panel discussion on that. Then I would like to do one on erotic art on Twitter about with artists in this field, and how what is their process and journey, and how do they visualize things.
I think it's a very good one.
Yeah, isn't it? And art appreciation of erotics. In Michelangelo's time, nude male art was more famous and popular. And when you listen to Michelangelo's stories, you they tell you about that. And now I think it's more of the female. But in female as well, I've seen when it's okay when women do it, but when men do it, they get a backlash or they get some confrontation. So I think this would be a good topic to talk, isn't it?
Yes.
Then we could talk. We could have one topic on color theory from the experts in those field as artists or any some other person. Then we can do one on metaverse. Sorry, you were saying something.
No, 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 no.
Then we can do one on metaverse and what are the possibilities, how to join it, what to do, and the getting into that. Then
Okay.
one could be on famous artist. So, what artist do you look up to, or what artists have inspired you? What stories of theirs influence you? So we
Dead
can,
or living.
yeah, dead or living.
Okay. Good one.
Then we can. Oh, so I had when they said you should come up with stupid ideas. I was thinking, okay, let me come up with something stupid, and I came up with something very awesome. So we can do a project. We can have a podcast about doing a project where we start. It's like a Chinese whisper, but with art. So you start with a painting or something like that. I take it from you. I put my visuals in it. I put my stuff in it, and then I pass it on to the next artist, and they pass it to the further artist. So when we have 10 or 15 people doing that, how it started and what comes up at the end.
Oh, that is a lot of fun. Absolutely. I'm in.
So what you can do is we can do an NFT of that, of the final artwork, as well as the individual artist at what stage they had put that in. They can be their own NFT with that in that project. Their what do you say contribution.
I like it. I like it.
Then about wealth and about real estate investment and so on. So basically, this is part of what you do after success. More than keeping in cash at bank, it's better to invest it and circulate it around and how to take decisions on that and so on and so forth. Then I wanted
You
to
know, this is my topic.
oh
I'm in it.
awesome. So how is it because you have expertise in this or you're curious about it? This is your
I
topic in which sense?
in the sense that I'm very interested into that, and I really want to gather information of how other artists are using their money. Are they just like spending money? Let's say, is there any investments they don't do, where they do, and how much? You know. So I
Mhm.
think it's very, especially for artists, it's I think it's important topic.
Absolutely, because people coming from arts background and they don't teach you all this in art school, right? But just as
Exactly.
wealth is a common thing which people should be talk about, which people should know, which they don't teach you in school. So, Rich Dad Poor Dad is an amazing book, and you should follow Robert Kiyosaki if you haven't still read or heard him. Have you?
Yes, I love it. I read it. Let me count. Well, something more than 20 years ago, maybe. Maybe less. Maybe less. But I love it.
I thought you were going to say I read it maybe less than 20 times.
No, I love it. I love it.
Then I wanted to talk about Blender and sculpting, animation, and what all things are possible with that. Then about crypto, how to secure, like everyone is moving into crypto, and how what are the things you should know about the Ledger wallet and about keeping your things secure and how you're your own bank and the few basic things to do and to know about it. Also, one on the 10,000 projects. We are one of one artist and uh, we are in field from the art side. But there are a lot of people from the coding side who are coming into who make these 10,000 projects with cosmetic changes in their profile picture. And you must be knowing Bored Apes Yacht Club and CryptoPunks and so many derivative projects of those, and so many similar projects of those. So sometime I feel it is going to be it reminds me of 2017, and it's going to be a bubble like the initial coin launch was. So people were making their own coins and asking people to join them and raise funds and so on and so forth. So people who have made success in this industry is how they select projects, and what they think about it, and how is it a FOMO or is it a bubble, and something on those lines. Because I think a lot of people who are in collectors as well, they must be interested in knowing about this.
This is very current. I agree, it's very current and important.
So I think I'm done with the 10. Awesome.
Awesome. This was a great session.
Yes. So we are having on Wednesday. You can expect a surprise speaker. That will be the Rocklaz talks.
Ooh.
Last week we had a talk on men's empowerment. Uh, I'm sure I would love to hear what you got from it. You can comment or share comments on a Twitter or Instagram. And we had Isabel on it. The week before that, we had about we talked with Golora on art history and art in Iran, and how she had worked at a museum and how she became an NFT artist, and how and why she came from Iran to Istanbul and Europe, and how she finds collectors, and she's a OG. So I'm sure you might have heard that. She got into NFT because her collector straight away offered her bitcoins for collecting her physical artwork, and she didn't have a clue about what is Bitcoin and so forth. A, a year or two back. So yes, we will keep bringing you these amazing episodes. If you have got some more topic, please share with us. We'd love to connect with you. And as we said earlier, do send in audios so we can feature you or your questions in our next episodes.
Yes, go for it. If you are shy and you don't want to send your audio, please send us an email, short email, one sentence, or expanded analysis of whatever your thoughts are.
And any featured speaker, if you want to be a featured speaker here, or if you recommend somebody that we should have on this show, let us know about that as well. What
Perfect.
What are your concluding thoughts, Laura, about today and in general?
Concluding thoughts are never stop learning, always go up, and whenever you succeed the summit you wanted to get, look for another one. Never stop.
Awesome, awesome, yes. Keep looking for the next biggest slice.
Exactly.
Yes, so that's what these Jeff Bezos and people who are doing it. They're just, as Steve Jobs also described, stay hungry, stay foolish. So they're always looking for the next big slice. You see all their progress and of Mark Zuckerberg and even Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk. They're always thinking about the next big thing and the next big thing and the next big idea or the next big problem they want to solve, and so on in your personal endeavors. So yeah, thank you for that, Laura.
Thank you, Tanmay, for this very knowledge and your experience with the books, the wisdom that you have recycled from them, and the podcast that have helped you to grow and to become who you are.
Absolutely. Thanks to you for sharing the concept or the idea for this podcast, and sharing your insights on this, and bringing in. Thanks for being you being you, and bringing your flavor with it.
And thanks you for being you.
Okay, so I to all my listeners, if you love what we are doing and if this is adding value to you, please uh, follow us and make sure to see our NFTs and buy our NFTs and our physical artwork. You not only have amazing artworks, you not only collect amazing art pieces, but you also support us in many ways. So, thank you and have a
Thank you.
great year.
Have a wonderful year.
Have a
And
rock.
great best of success and
Have a rocking 2022. And we
oh yes.